Hey, everybody, and welcome. And I am here. Welcome to God's People Say, and it's got a lot to say tonight. Hey, one of the things I want to just put out there is if one of my best friends is out there and she's watching right now, just remember, um, open for negotiations. All right, so just so you know. Anyway, so hey, uh, a lot's been going on since the last time actually that I had saw you guys, and a lot. I mean, I don't get on here as much as I should. I do apologize for that, but I want to do more. But it's tough. It's tough getting out here doing these things, doing these videos. Been going through a lot, trying to get things established. And I'm going to get into a little story. I'm going to share it with you and hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. And maybe we can get some traction here. So, one of the biggest things that I've been running into is really, it's hard to explain it. It's easier to write it. But okay, so here it is. When you have a person, okay, I'm going to say you got this one person who is sitting there one day going through a lot of stuff, going through a lot of pain, going through all this stuff, and they're looking for salvation. And they want to find salvation. And in order to find salvation, they have to get saved. And we want them to get saved. We want them to find Christ and, and everything. Let's say this person comes to church, the only place that they know that they can go. So they come into church, and when they're when they get there, they see all these people sitting there. They're praying, they're standing up, they're singing, and they're praising the Lord, and everything else is going on. And these people are just like sitting there going, "Whoa, this is awesome. I mean, this is praising God. How do I get saved?" You know? And so the pastor's up there, pastor's talking, and all of a sudden there's this little bit of like, hey, if anybody's out there who wants to get saved, there's a welcome deal out there. Just walk across the floor, fill out a slip, or maybe on the back of their chairs, there's a little QR QR code on the back of the seat. And everybody's got phones nowadays. So that person might take the phone, takes them to the website, fill out the information, and then the church will contact them, talk to them, and get them started in their salvation. And here's where the roadblock hits. And this is where you got to listen carefully, because I've had so many conversations about this and it drives me insane. So listen very carefully, because this is where the passion comes in, because this is where the Lord wants me to go with this. So finding the salvation is a very difficult for a lot of people, because you have different age groups. You have young people, you have preteens, you got teenagers, you got young adults, and it goes right up the generation gap. And everybody thinks differently. Everybody sees things differently. People go through different problems through life. So let's just take that one person. They come into church, they shoot the QR code, and they get this information. Someone picks up the phone and they say, hey, they call this person. They go, so, hey, we know you came to the church. What is it that you're trying to find? Well, I'm just kind of checking things out, and I don't know what to do. And, are you trying to look for Christ? And, they have this conversation, and the person on the phone finds out that this let's just use it as a young lady. This young lady who wants to get saved. She wants salvation, and she tells the person on the other end of the phone, all the stuff that she's been going through. And so um the person on the phone tells her, all right, meet me at church this Sunday and we'll sit down, we'll talk, and we'll do something about this. Well, the girl gets excited. She comes that Sunday. She's really really happy that something's going to happen. And so she sits down with the person and, and, and the person says, okay, it's time to get saved. So he this person guides her into getting her salvation. Okay. Now, once she does that, all right, and she gets her heart right and she has her salvation, then the next thing is what comes next. And this is where it gets really critical because remember, think of all the other age groups. So this girl says, okay, so what do I need to do? Well, you need a Bible. Okay. And she's like, okay. And okay, get yourself a Bible, come to church on Sundays, and let's find you a prayer group to go to. This girl's like, whoa, whoa, I got to do all this. Okay. It's kind of overwhelming for her. All right. And so she says, okay, I got to get a Bible. I gotta come to church on Sundays and everything else. So she goes and she looks, uh, goes to a bookstore and she goes through and she sees all these different kinds of Bibles. And she's like, what Bible do I get? And she goes to the book clerk and she says, "What Bible? I just got saved." And the book clerk says, "Well, the most common Bible is King James Bible. Here's the King James Bible, for you," and sells her a real nice, very maybe an expensive Bible. And she's really happy. She's got the Bible in her hand. She's really happy. And then she gets home. She opens up the Bible. She's flipping through it. She sees all these verses and in her mind, she's going, now what? All right, well, she starts from the beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And she starts to go through this Bible and she's reading it. And she's reading it and she's reading it. And then all of a sudden Sunday comes along. She goes to church and she's listening to the pastor preach and she's getting the gospel. She's and all along, this young lady's like, wait a minute. Okay, so I'm supposed to pray. How do I pray? What am I reading in the book? What parts of the Bible should I be concentrating on? And so what I'm trying to get at here is there should be some kind of guidance when a new person comes to God. There has to be something that can guide a new person, some kind of, instead of just giving them an app on their phone, just giving them a link to go to and say, here, go here, you'll learn a lot, and sit down and, have someone human sit down with them and pick out different things. Well, for me, the first thing if I was to sit down with somebody, the first thing that I would sit down and say, here's the Bible, okay? John 3:16, God, eh, God's prayer. That's the first thing you should learn. Memorize that. Just worry about that. You can go through the whole Bible, you can read it, but memorize that first one. That's the first one you want to memorize. That's what I would tell that person. I'd pick up, I'd say, I'd do this just like this. I'd go, okay, all right. So we go to our Bible app, or you have a Bible, I'd put it on here and I'd go, I'd say, John, okay. And, we go John 3:16. It says, for God shall love the world, he gave his only begotten son, and whoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. For God's, and for God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Now that's the NIV. Okay. So let's okay, so we got that. We know that's it. And so let's look at that from a different Bible, because the person's gonna want to know, you know, let's okay, so we have John 3:16, okay, and we're gonna go up here and we're gonna go to John, uh okay, John 3:16. For God shall love the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whoever shall believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Now, I love that, and it sounds real good. It sounds something that that you should read, and it is. It's something that we should read, and but it you know Sorry, I had to check something real quick. So anyway, you give that person that one verse, you have them read it, you have them memorize it, you have them do everything that they can do. Just memorize that. And with that, then you take it another step, and you take it another step. Hey, study, go through the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Study those three, go through those and get to know them, so they're going to sound the same, they're going to do everything. Just follow those books, and then when you get to those books, you have every freedom to go read whatever you want, but let's concentrate on those books. And then when they ask you for questions, they ask a question, well, what does this verse mean? Then you explain to them each individual verse and what it means. If you don't know what it means, then you get confirmation from somebody else. And then it goes like that. And so you have this ability where you're building this up, and you're leading this person to salvation. And that right there is the most important part of leading someone to salvation. Some of the churches, I know they do their best. They're really not, they're to me, it's like they're leaving them behind. They're getting them there, but they fall short. And that's exactly what I'm saying. A really good friend of mine, Canna, she said, it's like the churches, they just they they're in it for just to get them there. But here's they're in it for basically what she said is it's like it's a lukewarm church. They they um they get to the point where they get to salvation, they get people baptized, but they give them the material, the people the material, but there's nobody to lead them the rest of the way. Now, I understand, everybody can't just hold the people's hand. So, and it seems like, that's the story. And then when I try to have conversations with the church and the people of the church, people of the church, it's very dismissive. They only listen for a little while, and then they completely dismiss it. They find a way to change the subject. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to go into deep conversation about it. They don't want to listen to me explain it, because what they try to do is they try to turn it, twist it, and make it sound like I mean, they literally take the time to think about a way to twist it and to turn it, and that's what they do. So with me, I think, honestly, I think with this, as we are followers of Christ, I have been somehow I have been gifted. I have been told, I don't know what it is, but the passion I have to literally just push this as far as I can push it. And it's exactly what I want to do. So, you know, since I've been um since I've been doing this, uh I have been like doing a lot of writing. And one of the writings I have done is I did an article on my website, and it talks about how uh it talks about basically the church, and it talks about uh you know it kind of goes into, it's called the church's responsibility in guiding. And I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it or not, but I'm gonna try to. I did it. It's an audio file that I have, and it's something that I wrote, and I'm gonna see if I can play it. And if you can't hear it, I'll just stop it. But I'm gonna try and see if you guys can hear it. You can go to my website. It's wonnicott.com. And I am going to be putting some of these up on God's People Say. I'm still in the midst of designing the website, getting that up there so we can get more content up there. But I want to kind of see if this is going to show up. Give me a moment and see if it goes.
In the tapestry of time, my memories weave a narrative of a bygone era when attending church with my grandmother was a pivotal part of my youth. I can vividly recall the resounding echoes of a fervent pastor, standing tall before the congregation, his voice thundering through the sacred space, accompanied by the rhythmic cadence of his fists striking the podium. As a child, the enigma of his impassioned preaching left me bewildered, but I understood the gravity of the moment. Silence was my solemn obligation, enforced by the watchful eyes of my grandmother. The churches of yesteryears were bastions of tradition, where the scriptures were recited, and hymns were sung with a solemnity that echoed through time. However, the ecclesiastical landscape has undergone a metamorphosis, witnessing a seismic shift in the methods employed to disseminate the divine message. What was once known as preaching has now evolved into worship, a term that encapsulates not only the delivery of the sermon but the entire immersive experience of connecting with the divine. The energy within contemporary churches pulsates with a vibrancy that transcends the subdued ambience of my childhood sanctuary. It seems that if the fervor and dynamism present today were available back then, my journey toward spiritual enlightenment might have commenced sooner. The power of the word, now amplified for the youth, acts as a beacon guiding them through the tumultuous seas of adolescence. Yet, as time unfurls its tapestry, questions unfurl within me like delicate tendrils seeking answers. Churches, once steadfast in their traditions, have undergone a metamorphosis. While some remain rooted in the timeless essence of faith, others seem to have ventured into uncharted territories. The very fabric of fellowship has transformed, with handshakes and casual conversations dominating the post-service rituals. In this sea of evolving traditions, I ponder the authenticity of faith exhibited by those who grace the pews. The Bible warns of lukewarm Christians, those who straddle the line between devotion and indifference. As I observe the congregants engaging in camaraderie, I find myself questioning the depth of their commitment to the divine. Do they embody the unwavering faith preached from the pulpit, or do they walk a precarious tightrope, teetering between devotion and complacency? My uncertainty extends beyond the congregation to those entrusted with the spiritual guidance of the flock. Do the shepherds of the church embody the ideals they espouse, or do they, too, oscillate between the sacred and the secular? The subtle nuances and equivocal responses I encounter in conversations leave me grappling with the authenticity of the spiritual leaders steering the congregation. In the midst of these uncertainties, one truth remains immutable: the unchanging essence of the Word of God. The Scriptures, an unwavering anchor, withstand the tempest of time, offering solace and guidance to those navigating the tumultuous waters of faith. Yet, the contemporary church, with its evolving dynamics, presents an enigma. Is it a sanctuary for God's people, a haven where the earnest seeker finds solace, or has it become entangled in the complexities of human motives? As I wrestle with these questions, I am reminded of the profound responsibility incumbent upon the church. It is not merely a repository of religious rituals but a bastion of support for those embarking on the treacherous journey of newfound faith. The church, in its essence, is a lighthouse guiding the lost ships to the shores of spiritual awakening. In conclusion, the church's primary duty transcends the temporal dynamics of changing traditions and evolving practices. It is a sacred obligation to shepherd the spiritual neophytes through the labyrinth of uncertainties, providing them with the tools to combat the adversities that beset the path of righteousness. The Church, in its truest form, is not a passive observer but an active participant in the spiritual odyssey of its congregants, extending open arms to embrace the seekers and guiding them toward the promise of eternal communion with the divine. For real Christians, the enthusiasm to assist others on this journey should be paramount, ensuring that no soul is left to wander in isolation, uncertain of their next move.
I hope you heard that. I really do. If not, I'll have to remove this segment. But as you can see, in that writing, it's like I said, it's easier for me to write about it than it is for me to talk about it. But it is true. In today's church, like I remember back when with my grandma, I mean, the church was just much different, and I was more scared to go to church than anything because it seemed like it was a very scary thing. But here's the deal. Uh, During the church, during the times, during all the stuff that was taking place, one of the things I learned is by watching the church. And then when I went to the church that I go to now, I was like, wow, look at this, man. This I would have gotten saved a whole lot longer ago if this church would have been back when I was younger. I would have been there. But then what happened was I walked into this, I guess, I don't know. I walked in one day and something just inside of me says, pay attention to what is going on. And what happened is when I got baptized, it took one person to come up to me and they said, Robert, did the church do anything after you got baptized? Did they do anything for you? Did they give you any direction? And I said, no, they didn't. And that sparked inside of me this, what I just what I wrote there. And it just blew up. We as Christians, we have to go after these people. We have to, get them. Now, one of the things, they don't have to go to church. They don't have to do it. They just need the tools to be able to read the scriptures and know God's word and try to learn it to the point where they can go and save people just like we are. And we need to train them. We need to get them out there. And once they do that, then it's all good. And that's why. And that's what we need to do. So I'm going to end it with that. So you guys have a wonderful time. I hope you like this. Take care of yourselves. God bless you all. I love you all. And thanks a lot. Remember to like and share. Please share this. And maybe I can get out there and everything else. And if anybody sees Can out there, give her a hello. And maybe we can get her back on the air with us and stuff like that. You guys have a wonderful time. Take care and love y'all. Bye bye.